So picture the scene. You're on a message board or in a Discord server somewhere, and you're talking about the Imperial Guard, and someone brings up the subject of Baneblade super heavy tanks. And then someone inevitably turns around and says, "Hey, did you know that Baneblades were originally considered scout tanks during the Great Crusade? Herdy-durdy-dur." And honestly, if I had a penny for every time someone made that claim without providing any sort of citation to back up their claim, I would have about £5.63. But every time these people are questioned, to provide a source or a citation or something like that, they can never provide it. So consider this me saying that, hey, if you actually do have a source saying that the Baneblade was originally designed as a scout tank, please let me know in the comment section down below, because I am dying to find the source of this information, because it seems like one of those instances of telephone where someone says something and it gets misinterpreted or misquoted, etc., and so on and so forth, until we get this stupid piece of information now that says that a Baneblade is a scout tank when, let's be honest, it's most likely not. Now, I have seen some people turn around and say that, well, Scout Titans are a thing, so why can't a Baneblade be considered a scout tank? Well, the comparison between the two isn't really an adequate one, because while a Warhound Scout Titan is, ridiculously big, it's the size of a small building for God's sake, it has one thing that a Baneblade lacks. Well, two things for that matter, because a Warhound has speed and agility. Because let's take into account, their battlefield roles. Because a Warhound's role is to range ahead of the rest of the Titan mana pool in order to scout out enemy positions and then report their findings back to the rest of the mana pool so that the other Titans can move in and engage. Now compare the role of a Warhound Titan to that of a Baneblade. The role of a Baneblade is to shoot the ever-living fuck out of everything in front of it. It is effectively several tanks worth of heavy artillery stuck onto one set of tank treads. It is a machine designed to destroy and crush everything in front of it. It is not something designed to harass the enemy with hit-and-run tactics and flanking maneuvers. This is something that is effectively planted in front of the enemy and lets rip with every single bit of firepower it has. Nothing more, nothing less. It is an engine of mass destruction, not a scouting vehicle. Now, while a Warhound Titan is, ridiculously big, as I mentioned earlier, it's also, by the standards of other Imperial Titans, ridiculously quick. And I may be misremembering the speeds exactly here because I'm just going by memory, but if I recall correctly, the top speed of a Warhound is around 50 kilometers an hour? Which by Titan standards is pretty damn fast. It allows it to move in, find the enemy, and then duck out of range of their weapons before they can, be shot. Because compared to other Titans, a Warhound's armor plating is the equivalent to wet tissue paper. But compare this to a Baneblade. A Baneblade's top speed is somewhere in the range of 18 kilometers per hour. So a Warhound is, nearly 2.5 times as fast. And even though a Baneblade is a tank, a tracked vehicle, and therefore in theory should have a 0-degree turning circle, i.e. be able to pivot on the spot, it's implied that a Baneblade actually has a really wide turning circle, because it was either in 4th or 5th edition, it was the first Imperial armor book, and a Baneblade, if you wanted to move it, could only move in a straight line. And at the end of your move, you could turn it 90 degrees left or right. But the fact you could only move it straight forward in your turn basically implied that it is such a lumbering behemoth that it can't move like other vehicles, it can't move like other tanks. And the fact that a Baneblade is implied to have a fairly large turning circle is quite frankly hilarious. So at the end of the day, could a Baneblade ever be considered a scout tank? Unless someone can provide a source to the contrary, absolutely fucking not. Because yes, while there are bigger things considered to be quote-unquote scouts, like the aforementioned Warhounds, think about the other types of tanks that are not only smaller than a Baneblade, but also much faster. Things like the Salamander Scout Vehicle, for instance. That's called a scout vehicle for a reason. or even the Leman Russ, because the Leman Russ tank has a top speed that is on par with, if not faster than, a Baneblade. So even a Leman Russ would be a better choice to be a scout vehicle, because not only is it smaller, it's narrower, it can navigate city streets better, and it's more maneuverable, it can avoid danger and has a smaller profile to avoid being shot. Because let's be honest, the only thing that a Baneblade's gonna be more agile than is a Capital Imperialis, and that's effectively a tank the size of an apartment complex. I know I've said it before, but I may be rambling, it's an unscripted video, so yeah, there probably is some repeated information, but the idea of a Baneblade ever being considered a scout vehicle is, quite frankly, a ludicrous proposition. And anyone claiming to the contrary who cannot actually provide a source citing that or stating outright, they're either misinformed or they're lying. And I probably sound very angry in this video compared to my other ones, but it's mainly because I am sick to death of people spreading this bullshit without backing their claims up. If you're gonna say something that ridiculous, that a Baneblade during the Great Crusade was considered a small scout tank, give me a book or a page number or something, anything that supports your claim. Because otherwise, it's a case of people accepting fanon as canon. And I know some people will turn around and say, but canon's not a thing in 40k, that's a whole other kettle of fish which we're not going to get into at this point in time. But like I mentioned earlier, if someone can actually cite a source stating outright that a Baneblade was considered a scout tank, then please leave a comment down below because I would love to read it. But what do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.